Well, that might have been a... Well, that sucked. Maybe the worst series the Mariners have played all year as they get swept by the Toronto Blue Jays. Joe and I are going to talk about if the Mariners hate their moms because they got swept over Mother's Day weekend. Do they hate their moms?
That's crazy.
We're then going to talk about the return of George Kirby, which we now have a rough date for when that's going to be happening. The Mariners also have 9 top 100 prospects on MLB Pipeline. We're going to discuss who those guys are and where they rank in the top 100. I'll have my Operation Overreaction to follow, and we'll wrap it all up by talking about the New York Yankees series. Thank you guys so much for watching episode 190 of the Hit It Here podcast, part of the Bleav Network, available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. And this is the Christy and Lori episode of the podcast because it is Mother's Day. After all, happy Mother's Day to any of you mothers out there. I know there are some of you in our comments, so appreciate you for all you do in motherhood. And I'm here with my mommy,
the stay-at-home mom of Mariner Mojo. I don't know if that's still like as applicable as it once was, but that's neither here nor there. How am I doing? Man. What an you said it might be the worst series. It's the worst series that they've played all year. The Giants series where they got swept was not as bad as this one in terms of how they looked as a team completely. Yes, you lose Victor Robles in that series. Like maybe
walked off in that series.
You got walked off twice, yes, but like you also didn't get swept at home against a team that was below 500.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what I mean? Like you lost to the Giants, who were, I think, had only lost one game at that point. Granted, it was like their 3rd series of the year. It doesn't matter. Regardless, the Mariners played baseball this weekend, and it wasn't good for the large majority of the weekend. First game, 6-3 loss. Luis Castillo, I mean, he's not getting whiffs. He's not getting misses. He is not able to get batters to chase like at any successful rate. Mariners scored 3 runs in this game. It felt like it might be okay for a little, like, you know, we've seen them fight back, but being down 5-0 in the 3rd and then you get 1 back, it's like, okay, sure. Maybe there's a little bit of fight there. You get 2 more in the 6th, but there was just never enough. And then I think, what was it? Was it the bottom of the 8th in this one where you have the bases loaded, and then Mastroboni hits a liner at Vladdy. He knocks it down, throws him out, throws out the runner coming home. Everyone's safe on the base paths, like aside from the guy that got out at home. So bases juiced still with Taveras and I think Dylan Moore as the following batters, and they both strike out. So it's like that was your chance to really claw back in the game. It was only 5-3 still at that point. The Blue Jays do get 1 again in the top of the 9th, making it 6-3. So had they scored 2, maybe they still would have lost anyways, but that was definitely like the defining moment of the game.
This is the game I think that annoyed me the most in this series because the Mariners had so many hard hit balls.
Correct.
That were just not falling, right? There was a great play by Miles Straw in left field. A great play by Addison Barger, I think it was, over at 3rd.
And, I mean, Dalton Varsho robbing Ben Williamson of a home run.
Right. Like, there's just so many moments in this game specifically that you look back on, and the Blue Jays got really lucky in this game. It sucks. Sometimes that's just the way that baseball goes. It just sucked to see it happen when the Mariners had a real chance. Obviously, Jimmy Garcia came in this game. He loaded the bases with no outs and was able to escape it. That's that 8th inning you were talking about. The one bright spot that I could talk about from game 1 was Casey Legumina. He looked great. He looked electric in his 2 innings of work in that game. Otherwise, just not good. It was a little bit more of the same, similar scoreline in game 2 as the Mariners once again dropped this game 6-3. Logan Evans started this game, gave up 3 runs over 5 innings. I think he did his job. I would say that if you can get 5 innings of 3 or less runs from Logan Evans every time out, you're happy with that. I think that is fine. So of the 3 starters in the series, he was the best.
He did pitch the best, and had you told me that going into this series, that Logan Evans would pitch the best, given my expectations for what he's able to do out on a mound, no disrespect to him and any of the pitchers on the team necessarily, but if you'd have told me that, I would have thought that we probably lost the series. You know what I mean? Just given how much you depend on, the rocks of your staff, La Pietra. I mean, Bryce Miller has been a shell of himself this year, but we don't want to get too far ahead of us as we head into Sunday's game. But Saturday, I saw some complaints on the timelines about, like, should Dan have pulled Logan Evans before he gave up the lead entirely in that 6th inning where he was still out there. I get the idea of, like, leaving him in because his pitch count, I think, was fine up until that point.
There it was, and there was a righty up to bat as well in George Springer. I think that it probably would have been smart to pull him, but hindsight's 20/20. Obviously, no matter what you're going to say, if it didn't work out, then you should have done this, you should have done that.
Yeah.
But I was surprised to see him go back out there just because he got you through 5. You had already had Gabe Spire warming in the 5th. So, like, why would you wait to bring in Gabe? I don't know. It was weird. I mean, they brought in Gabe to, I think, face some lefties in that little pocket there, but nonetheless, I do think that Evans should have been pulled a little bit earlier than he was. We saw Matt Brash in this game look the best that he's looked all year. And then Carlos Vargas came in, who's been really dependable so far this year in the bullpen, and he just did not have his best stuff at all. Yeah. Gave up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning, Joe.
And he just couldn't locate super well, but if you look at the hit chart, just everything was just pushed to right field for the Blue Jays.
There was a game plan.
Yeah, there was a game plan to be aggressive, be attack, and push the ball the other way. Like, hit the ball to the opposite field, and they executed it very well, and they tacked on 3 runs against Carlos Vargas in the 8th inning, and that would be all she wrote. J.P. Crawford's hit streak snapped in this game. Like, just bad vibes all around. I blame Johnny Junta for being in Seattle. I blame the Gate 14 podcast, and damn you, Lyle, and damn you, TJ, for
giving them a platform.
Yeah, giving them the ability
Mariners version of the platform.
Yeah, to really talk smack on the Mariners. The thing I will say, it's a meme that they've done a little bit on Gate 14's like Twitter, is that they're 4-0 since the new Pope. So maybe it was just destiny against the Mariners. Like, we just had to take that one on the chin, and the Blue Jays are going to win out the rest of the year. They're going to finish the year 140-20.
We're 1-3 in the Leody Taveras era.
But everyone was so hyped about him because he's
producing.
He's decently producing. Got all those putouts like to start the game. Was that the first game or the second game? Second game. Yeah, that was
because they were hitting everything to right field. Which,
yeah.
Weird. It seems like they may have had a plan that game. Maybe we shouldn't throw the ball outside to righties. Maybe we should throw it inside if they're trying to leak out over the plate and hit it to right field. What? Who would have thought of that? Who would have thought of that? Oh, that's crazy. If only Pete Woodworth would have told him that. Anyway,
you sir,
I would that game pissed me off.
I can imagine so.
The game 3 didn't really get a chance to watch it because I was working. That was today, Mother's Day, that we're recording this, and Bryce Miller was bad again. He actually looked okay through the first couple of innings, and then had a blow up inning there in the 5th where he gave up 3 runs.
I think it was a George Springer.
It was a George Springer home run. Yeah, it was. The Mariners had 3 hits total in this game. It was Dylan Moore with the home run, of course. Randy had a hit to extend his on base streak. JP went 2 for 4, so 4 hits in this game. Not a lot doing. I mean, just the Mariners offense just looked terrible, and I think that when Bryce Miller goes in and gives up what did he give up? 7 runs, 7 earned. Like, it is incredible how bad he's been, and I don't know if there's really a good explanation as to what it is, but it seems like he's mentioned that he's had trouble bouncing back. We've talked about that a million times, but it seems like he's pitching hurt. It really does. And the fact of the matter is he's probably going to need to go on the injured list here pretty soon when George Kirby comes back, which we'll talk about here in just a minute.
It's Shannon Dreyer. Who's the other person that would like tweet things?
Ken Mueller?
No, hold on. Let's look up Bryce Miller. He said something after the game about his start. It was Daniel Kramer. I didn't look up Kramer. I just looked up Dreyer. Bryce Miller said that he was again experiencing some physical limitations today. 3rd or 4th inning, I kind of had some stuff that didn't feel good and didn't feel normal. Me when I have to poop. Like I have in the past. I don't know. I don't want to say too much on it. It's been a struggle. Go on the injured list.
Yeah.
Go on the injured list. Like, I don't care. If you're like, not that I don't care. That's harsh. What I don't care about is like turning it into an excuse. Like, it's an excuse, yes, but you're going out there and losing the game, essentially. Would Jonathan Diaz give you any better chance? Probably not. Yeah. But I'd rather Bryce Miller get healthy and be able to have a better second half than to continue to just let him struggle for X amount of time until it does get right naturally on its own, which is going to take longer until you put him on the injured list. And just one, he kind of seems like he might need a mental reset a little bit too, given like this is the first time he's struggled in his professional career, at least of this magnitude, and him himself speaking outwardly about it. It just seems like there's something that's not right there, obviously physically, but like on the mental side as well. So no discredit to Bryce and his body of work and everything, he did in the previous years. It's just, it hasn't been right for him this year. And if it's when George comes back, I think that's a reasonable thing to assume.
Yeah, you say that he needs to go on the injured list, and I completely agree. It's like you're doing the team no good right now. You're giving up 7 runs, and I mean, not that the offense helped you at all in this game.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you're giving up 7 runs. Like, you are an active detriment to this team when you're pitching right now. I would rather Bryce Miller go and get healthy and be ready to go for the stretch run than to have him pitch hurt right now and then still not have a good Bryce later in the season. Mm-hmm. And then maybe he does go on the injured list then, and then you got to use Jonathan Diaz in important games at the end of the year. Like, once George Kirby comes back, which sounds like we have a date for it, you have to see him go on the injured list for probably at least like 3 starts just to get himself right. With that being said, with George Kirby, well, he just made a start the other day. The results weren't great. He gave up 4 runs. I don't really care.
Yeah. Struck out, I think, 5.
He got through it healthy. That's what matters. Mm-hmm. I don't care how many runs he gives up. He's working on making sure it's spring training for him.
Yeah. And the velo was up to like 9. I think it's at 97.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he's going to make one more rehab start. That sounds like it'll probably be on the 16th. And then he will be activated from the injured list as long as he gets through that healthy. The timeline is roughly around the series the Mariners play in Houston, which seems like a pretty good time to activate him. We talked about that in an earlier podcast. But yeah, it sounds like maybe one more start for Bryce, and then he'll have a chance to go on the injured list as well.
Yeah, it's kind of like pass the baton of the guys getting off the injured list and going on it, which we've kind of mentioned like subtly as you're not going to remain healthy fully the entire year as a 26-man roster. Like, there's going to be other pitchers when ones get healthy, or other position players when they get healthy, that will likely just kind of go in stride and take over whoever is injured at that point, kind of a situation. So Kirby pitched on the 10th, likely then 5 days after that, if it is just on normal like 5-game rest with the Rainiers, their 5th game in that would be on the 16th. And then the Houston Astros series is the 22nd to the 25th, which again still lines up with like the day's rest. I don't know how it lines up with specific starters necessarily, if it's going to be in Miller's spot or it would be in Logan Evans' spot if Miller doesn't go on the injured list for whatever reason, if we see that kind of come to fruition, or maybe they let Bryce go out there one more time and then they'll put him on the IL on the Monday that they have off before they come back home or something. I don't necessarily know, but getting Kirby back against a division rival, Houston, where it looked, at least in the standings and the way that the Mariners had positioned themselves by winning 9 consecutive series, it looked a lot better, like postulating, it looked a lot better than it does like a couple days ago than it does right now. Mm-hmm. After the Mariners just got swept, dropping the record down to 22-17. Not to say that they won't win games up until that point, because they've got a lot of games to play until the 22nd through the 25th. But getting George Kirby back at that point is going to be a huge, I hope, at least I feel this way, it'll be a huge kind of jolt back into the pitching staff and just the team in general. Of like, you have another one of like your main guys back. I hope getting Brash back felt in a similar way. Whenever Luke Raley, he said that he played catch today with a trainer. Whenever he comes back, I hope it feels similarly. Victor Robles, those core guys that are kind of the backbone of your team, the core, if you will. It has to have a larger impact than just what's on the field, like in the dugout, in the clubhouse. It's got to feel good to get a guy like George back.
Yeah, and I think that for a team that is now, what'd you say, 23rd in ERA on the season, pitching staff, going out and bringing in somebody like George Kirby, it's gonna feel like you went out. God, Jerry's gonna love this.
You stop it.
Jerry's gonna love this. Feels like you went out and acquired a pitcher on the trade market. Right, chat. Right. I think that George has shown that he can face the Astros just fine. You know what I mean? He's looked good against the Astros in the past, and I think that it's the right series to bring him back, and it's going to be a big ups for this pitching staff, along with, whenever the Mariners get a lot of their core guys back. But there's more core guys coming, Joe. As MLB Pipeline released today that there are 9 Seattle Mariners in the top 100. Let's start at number 96, Joe, with Ryan Sloan, who was obviously selected in the draft last year out of high school, right-handed pitcher down in Single A.
Yeah, he's the most recent addition. We did have 8. He is the newest addition with some graduations and some shufflings. The 9th Mariners prospect in the top 100. Very, very exciting. One of 2 that can pitch. The meme for a long time was we were calling up all these pitchers, but can they hit? Now we're going to have all these position player prospects coming up. Can they pitch? Because with how poor the pitching's been, maybe you might need... I don't want to get ahead of myself. Who out of the top, looking at the top 9 right now, has the best chance to be a successful two-way player?
A successful two-way player?
Yeah. If like you had to take one hitter and be like, all right, you're gonna start pitching, who would it be?
Probably. Ooh.
Give me Felnin.
I was either gonna say Felnin or Laz, just because Laz is big. I could see him being big and hulking up on the mound. You know what I mean?
Sure. Just being able to like throw like 94 with like a nasty slider or something out of the pen or whatever. Getting ahead of ourselves, okay? That's just what we do. It's for the bit. The next prospect, ranked 92nd in all of baseball, Jurrangelo St. was another recent addition, I think maybe a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. Switch pitcher, obviously, down in Everett. I think he started on Saturday. I'm not exactly sure how he did, but again, it's a guy that's just garnering national media attention because of what he can do on the field. It looks like he pitched 5 innings, and I can't see anything else because the scroll. 2 hits, 1 earned, gave up a homer, walked 2, struck out 6. So a decent start there against the Tri-City Dust Devils on the 10th for Jurrangelo. He's done some relief appearances as well. Mainly for that situation, he'll just throw lefty as the reliever, and then Saturday starts, he'll kind of go back and forth, but it's mainly been right-handed. An interesting development to see how he continues to grow as a player and what they do with him going forward. But those are the only 2 pitchers, Colton. Only 2 in the top 100 for the Mariners. Up next, Michael Arroyo, 83rd. And his teammate down in Everett, recently brought back from the injured list, Johnny Farmelo, 82nd. Farmelo, I think since returning, has hit 5 homers, has an OPS over 1,200 or around 1,200. He didn't look good when we went to Everett and saw him play, but it is what it is. He just, he didn't want to show off too much for us. He didn't want to shoot up our prospect rankings, acting like he knows us, little bro.
Yeah, that's Johnny Farmelo's literally never heard of us before.
That's probably true. That's probably true. But again, these are exciting prospects down in Everett. If you guys live near Everett or want to, again, it's a fun experience just because it's right there and tickets are cheap and it's just a fun game to kind of go to and watch a lot of the top players play. Yeah,
I think that with Johnny Farmelo and Michael Arroyo, both of them did play in that game that we went down to. And yeah, you can definitely see the tools for Johnny Farmelo. The hard part is you just haven't seen a whole lot of him since he was drafted due to the injury. But a lot of people are saying that he's going to be like a top 3 Mariners prospect by the end of the year. I don't know if I'm willing to say that yet, but if he keeps performing at the level that he is, I think that, yeah, I would have to agree with that. Moving up the list here now is catcher Harry Ford, one of 2 guys on this list that are already in AAA Tacoma. Obviously, Harry Ford's been on a bit of a hot streak down there in AAA lately, right? He had his first home run a few weeks ago, hit it to right field. Obviously, you know the tail of the tape on Harry Ford. He's been around this organization for quite some time now. And he's a catcher, very athletic, very fast, but he can go play third base or the outfield for you if you need him to. But primarily, the Mariners are going to keep him as a catcher. He's number 67 on this list. I think there's a chance that he's called up at some point this season, especially if someone like Cal or Mitch Garver gets hurt. Harry Ford's a guy that I would be interested to see what he could bring to the big league level. He didn't get off to the hottest start down in AAA, but he's definitely picked it up as of late, and I think that bodes well for what we can see, where we can see him at in the future. Moving on now to number 64 with Felnin Celestin. He's a shortstop for the Mariners in A-ball down in Modesto. He's been absolutely tearing it up. Joe's got something to say about Harry Ford.
Well, we can finish your thoughts on Felnin.
Oh yeah, Felnin. I mean, he's probably the best, in my opinion, guy to stick at shortstop over the next however many years. He's hitting 300, 355, 409 with a 764 OPS down in Modesto. He has 2 homers with 20 RBI. And yeah, I think that when it comes to Feldman, he's the guy that we've heard about for a while. He also dealt with some injuries of his own, but he's still only 19 years old. I think that he probably ends the season in Everett.
Yeah, probably.
I would assume. Probably sooner rather than later, honestly. I wouldn't be shocked if, like, when they decide to move Colt and those guys up to Double A, if they just move Feldman with them to continue moving those guys up through the ranks. So a couple of guys there at number 67 and 64 for the Mariners, and I think are going to have big impacts over the next couple of years.
And another one at 43, Cole Young, that similar to Harry Ford could make an impact in 2025. And both of them did not get off to the hottest starts. Both were kind of like, ooh, what is this really who are the next in line, the next heirs to the throne? But this was from 14 hours ago at MILB Mariners. Shout out the Mariners Miners Twitter account, one of the best Twitter accounts in the game. Follow it if you do not. Cole Young, during his current 7-game hitting streak, he's hitting 444, 500, 815 with a 1.315 OPS, a 1300 OPS in a 7-game hitting streak. I think he has 2 doubles in the game today that we're recording, so he's continuing to hit well. 12 hits, 2 doubles, 1 triple, 2 homers, 9 runs, 5 RBI. Only struck out 3 times over those 7 games. A very good 7-game hitting streak. Harry Ford, over the last 10 games, hitting 324, 419, 487 with a 905 OPS. 12 hits, 3 doubles, 1 homer, 5 runs, 2 ribbies, 6 walks. So still taking his walks. Has struck out 9 times in those 10 games, but I don't think that's a bad slash line or like a bad strikeout number when you can take a look at the rest of the slash line. Cole Young, still the 3rd ranked prospect in all the Mariners farm system, still within the top 50 in MLB. I think deservedly so. He's still a good glove at second base, can play shortstop, I think, but I would say second base is more likely for his MLB career, and there's some pop there, but it's not going to be a ton. I'd pencil him for maybe 12 homers a year would be an average I could see him reaching, with maybe reaching 20 during his peak prime years. But Cole Young and Harry Ford both could make impacts for this 2025 team should they need them to. I would prefer them not to have to, the necessity for that, because that means some things happened, or alternatively, 7-game hit streak turns into a 22-game hit streak for Cole Young, and Harry Ford over the last 40 games is still hitting 320. You know what I mean? That's where it's okay if they come up, but if there's other things that require it, might be a bit tough. But a guy that a lot of people are clamoring for to make his MLB debut would be a little too soon, but Laz Montes, 36th in the in all of baseball. 36th in all of baseball. The 2nd Mariners prospect. We know Laz, big, powerful, intimidating, getting chirped down in Everett, and he hits the walk-off and tells the guy to F off, essentially, in the postgame. It was awesome. He's got a 979 OPS through 31 games in Everett. He was a player of the month. Mariners
I think so.
Player of the month, or he was
player of the week.
He was a player of the week when Victor Labrada was.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big, strong man that hits the ball like he's a big, strong man.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
He has 7 home runs in 31 games, and like you said, he's a big, strong man, but this dude's kind of fast. We saw him out there, and his defense isn't as bad as everyone, I think, kind of made it out to see.
Yeah.
He's still, again, big, but I think that there's a decent chance that he's able to stick in a corner at some point in his career, maybe even at the next level. And Laz, I mean, he's the guy that you can dream on, right? I think that of all the guys in this system, he might honestly have the highest ceiling.
Interesting.
But I think he also is a lot more volatile of a player who might have a lower floor than a lot of these guys as well. And then number 1, Joe, is of course Colt Emerson, who was actually the run that scored on that Laz walk-off hit when we were in Everett.
Yeah, he's 19th in all of baseball, a top 20 prospect in the entire game. A lot of people say that he could end up being a top 10 by the end of the year. Some people even giving him lofty expectations for the top 5. But Colt's down in Everett, sitting 276, 386 with a 388 slug, a 774 OPS. The game power hasn't really come through yet, but we've seen flashes of it. We've seen 115 miles per hour off the bat sometimes. He can really run into one. So I don't know if it's adjustments within game or how, really what's holding him back from really taking over high A. I mean, he is still a very young player.
He's 19, right?
He's 19 and he'll turn 20 in July. So I don't think there's a lot of pressure on Colt Emerson to move up beyond Everett soon. I think he'll still end up in Arkansas by the end of the year, but I would assume that like Arroyo would get moved up before Colt. I think Arroyo and Laz move up before Colt, and then Colt would go up later. Like, not so much so that it's like a big discrepancy, but maybe a month later or something like that. But Mariners have a top 20 prospect in all of baseball. He won't be in the bigs until 2026 or 2027, more than likely. So don't get your hopes up too soon, especially after, you know, the Mariners get swept. Right?
You know why they got swept, right?
What is it?
Because the Blue Jays called up Jonathan Clase.
Oh, Jonathan Clase got called up.
Everyone always says that the Mariners should call up Jonathan Clase, but
maybe they should. You know? If the Mariners had called up Jonathan Clase for this Blue Jays series, I think the Mariners would have won it.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. That's not my overreaction, though, Joe. My overreaction goes back to the prospects for the Mariners. With Colt Emerson at 19, Lazaro Montes at 36, I think both of them are within the top 15 by the end of the season. Both.
Whoa.
Yeah. Now, there's going to be some graduations on that top 100 list. I Bleav Roman Anthony is still first on this list. He is. There are some guys that aren't going to move up, of course, like Leo DeVries is obviously going to not make his major league debut this year. But there are plenty of guys like Marcelo Meyer, however the hell you say his name, who I think will probably graduate at some point. Jordan Lawler will probably graduate at some point. There's going to be a lot of guys coming off this list over the next 4 or 5 months. And I think that as we get down to that 14, 15, area for all these prospects, I mean, I think that maybe Colt Emerson's the top 10.
Yeah.
And then Laz is in the top 15 as well.
Interesting.
Right there behind him. If he keeps playing like he has been, I see no reason why he wouldn't be. So the Mariners have 9 top prospects in all of baseball, and I think 2 of them are going to be top 15 by the end of the year. And I think that might lead to us seeing them in the middle of 2026 in the big leagues.
Oh, middle of 2026, Colt and Laz make their debuts because they're such highly touted prospects. They're playing well enough down there in Everett and Arkansas. Do you think either of them see Tacoma?
Yeah, I think they'll see Tacoma.
Like they'll start next year in Tacoma?
Right.
Oh.
If both of them spend the next, let's say they get called up next week to Double-A Arkansas, I would say the Mariners would then be aggressive and move them to Triple-A by the beginning of next season. If not, maybe a little bit later, but they might not spend a whole lot of time in Triple-A.
Interesting. I'm trying to see. Is it because Jared's not on the team anymore? Is that how that works?
That he's not on here?
Maybe. I don't know.
Be.
I was say, like, how highly ranked was Kelnick? So at one point, the Mariners had the 4th and 5th in 2021. Kelnick was 4th, Julio was 5th.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that we could see either like a better average number out of Colt and Laz? So they have to 4.5. They got to be 4.5. Like Colt's got to be the number 2, and Laz has to be 6th. You know what I mean?
By the end of the season, no.
Just in general.
But in general, maybe. I think maybe next year, if they're both still tearing the cover off the ball, I think you could see them both in the top 5.
Interesting.
Honestly, just with how good both of them can be and how good both of them have been. Yeah. It's going to take Colt probably tapping into that power a little bit more, maybe getting a little bit stronger. He's, again, only 19 years old. And Laz, I mean, he just has to keep doing what he's been doing. I think he'll be fine. He's cut down on the strikeouts this year. He's been walking more this year. Mm-hmm. I think defensively, he's better than he's ever been. I'm pretty high on Laz right now, and I think that...
Which is crazy to say that you've ever been low on Laz.
I know. But, yeah, I think that I am in agreement that Laz is the number 2 prospect in the Mariners system. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that people can argue Farmello. People can argue Cellison. People can even argue Cole Young, but I think it's Laz. It's got to be Laz.
I don't think you've overreacted. Like, maybe the overreaction that they'll be middle of the year next year is, like, definitely, like, pushing the envelope for what they can do, and maybe that's the kind of jolt or spark plug that the Mariners will need at that point. But I hope that the 26-man, specifically on the position player side, the 13-man roster there is a bit, maybe more well-endowed. That's not the right way to say that. But
What?
They're a bit better off to where they don't need the reinforcements of Colt Emerson and Lazaro Montes to like fill them out, if that makes sense. Like they are a more rounded, more well-rounded, better team than needing a 21-year-olds to come up. You know what I mean? That they can develop more. I don't know where that...
Let's talk about the Yankees series.
What's the word I should have said there? Not that.
Emerson Hancock is going to be...
Speaking of well endowed.
Emerson Hancock is on the mound for the first game versus the Yankees on Monday. Now, on MLB.com, it has it as TBD starting for the for our dear friends the Yankees.
They have TBD starting in 3 games in a row. That's crazy.
That's crazy.
Clark Schmidt?
Okay, Clark Schmidt starting. They will see Max Fried in this series. Don't love that, but we got to talk about game 1. God. Emerson Hancock, a guy who pitches to Con. He's been great lately. This game's at home. As Joe's mentioned, he's a road warrior. He's not been great at home. Hancock is going to face the Yankees in this one. I fear, Joe, that we may be seeing the start of a 4-game losing streak.
I hope not.
I agree.
I think with Clark Schmidt on the mound, I'm not overly, I guess, threatened by what he has to offer. And I think Hancock can go out there and maybe give you 5 innings and keep you within a game. Yes.
Have you seen the Mariners' offense the past 3
games? Yeah, it hasn't been good. Maybe the 4-game losing streak is well on its way. But okay, you need to relax. You need to calm down. I have a thought.
Okay.
You know, there's a lot of Yankees fans just in the world.
Yeah.
Maybe it'll feel like a road game for Emerson Hancock, and you'll pitch better.
There you go.
Even though he's pitching at home.
Yeah.
I think that's the way that we got to reverse psychology, reverse engineer the road warrior back into Emerson Hancock for him to go out there. He's pitched well. He's pitched well above, I think, our expectations for him, and he is missing barrels. He's limiting hard contact. He's pitching to contact, but he's limiting like a ton of hard contact, which that's where he can get into trouble, is if he's not doing that. And this Yankees lineup is a tough one to need to miss barrels on. I mean, you're facing Aaron Judge. You're facing the best right-handed hitter
of our generation.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Maybe ever. He's been really good.
Yeah.
His peak, his prime, it might be it as far as a pure hitter goes.
Right.
You might be there.
You think about like the 2 other guys that come to mind are Miguel Cabrera and Mike Trout. Those are the 2 other right-handed
for this
hitters.
generation.
This generation that come to mind. Albert Pujols is another good one there as well.
Yeah. Aaron Judge is really scary.
Yeah, he's really scary.
The rest of the Yankees lineup, I mean, some of them haven't really lived up to the... I mean, Bellinger, I think, had a good game the other day, but I don't think he's played like super well. I don't know. It's Judge and the rest of them, I think. And as long as you can limit Judge's opportunities with runners on, I think you'll be feeling pretty good. Goldschmidt's having a good year. He's hitting like 330 or something like that, which does not bode well for Hancock when there's 2 players in the lineup that are hitting over 330.
Just walk Aaron Judge every single... Bases loaded, tie game. I don't care. Walk him. Bases loaded, tie game, top 9, walk him. I don't care.
You don't care.
Because bases loaded, tie game, he's gonna hit a home run and you're gonna be down by 4
instead of being down by 1.
Exactly. So walk Aaron Judge. Game 2, Max Fried on the mound for the New York Spankies. The Mariners are sending Brian Wu, who has been their best pitcher so far this year, to the mound as well. Logan's dead. Okay. So Logan Gilbert is hurt, guys. Just so we're clear.
We're off the rails.
It's Mother's Day. We're tired. We both worked today. Yeah, Brian Wu on the mound for the Mariners. I mean, again, he's been your best guy. He's the best guy to turn to here. But Max Fried has been quite good as well.
Oh, God, quite good. I think he is the
Cy Young.
I think he might be the American League Cy Young favorite right now. Mm-hmm. If season were to end today, he'd probably get the award. But I'm looking at live stats full season, team ERA, and maybe TJ Mathewson lied to me on Twitter, but it looks like the Mariners have a 4 ERA, not a 4.23. So they're not 23rd in baseball. They're only 17th. That's still not good. You want it to be lower than that, shockingly enough. They're still the third best offense in all of baseball, even after some stinkers. It's down below 120. It's at a 119 right now. Obviously, the Yankees have the best offense in all of baseball by WRC plus, and they have a top 10 team ERA at 3.71. The Mariners. This is the first series, I think, since the Giants and the Tigers, where I look at them and I'm like, this is a significant disadvantage.
Yeah.
I think from a like an on paper standpoint. Every other series I was like, yeah, they could win this one pretty, like I wouldn't be surprised. If they win this one, specifically given the last 3 days, I'd be very surprised.
Yeah, I think that you can't get swept. Just don't get swept in this series because that's a 6-game losing streak.
An 0-6 homestand?
Yeah, that would, I mean, but it kind of feels, I mean, again, Max Fried, 105 ERA on the year, like a 381 ERA plus so far this season. And
they're tacking 7 on him.
A lefty versus the Mariners right-handed lineup.
Mitch Garver's going yobsters.
I hope Mitch Garver's not even on this team by the time they face Max Fried, but yeah, that you just can't get swept in this series. You have to find a way to salvage a game. If you can do that, I won't be happy. I'll be content.
If you get one game out of this?
If you get one game out of this,
oh,
yes.
God.
Going into game 3, Luis Castillo on the mound opposite of Will Warren for the New York Yankees. I think that is your best bet to win a game during this series, but Warren hasn't been horrible. He's got a 4.75 ERA so far this year. We've seen Castillo and how he's looked so far, and more so recently. If he can't command his stuff, it's going to be a game where the best offense is in baseball against one of the Mariners' worst goes of pitching as it's been lately. I worry that it falls on Luis in this game. He has to be able to control the strike zone and not let Aaron Judge beat him. For the Mariners offense, you have to get after Will Warren early because you need to score as many runs as you can off of him, because that's how this series is going to go. You have to find a way to out hit the Yankees, which is not going to be easy.
Yeah. 254 WRC plus for Judge is crazy. Ben, I kind of forgot about Ben, right?
Yeah, he's having a great year.
Yeah, we're looking at the Yankees qualified batters by WRC plus, and there's better ones than I would have rather. Oh, and Trent Grisham, I forgot about him. Are the Mariners cooked?
They might be cooked, bro. And then the Padres come to town after that.
Are we about to go 0-6 at home? I think I saw Jake tweet that you have to sweep the Yankees to have an acceptable homestand. Brother. I think at the, relative to your expectation, yes, going 3-3 in a homestand where you play 6 games between the Blue Jays and the Yankees, 3-3 is probably an acceptable homestand where you win the Blue Jays series 2-1 and you lose the Yankees series 1-2. Getting swept by the Blue Jays puts an immense amount of pressure on this team to, one, completely wipe that Blue Jays series, wear it on the chin, but completely wipe it and go out there and play the best ball that you have the entire year, because that's what it's going to take the series against the Yankees, if not just one game itself.
Yeah, that I think that I understand where Jake's coming from.
Yeah, because you want to have a 500 homestand outwards,
right? Yeah. But it's not going to happen. You're not going to sweep the Yankees. There's no shot
unless they do.
Let me leave you guys with this. In 2024, the Mariners swept the Texas Rangers at home, on Father's Day. And that put them 10 games up on the American League West. And then we all know what happened after that Father's Day game. The Mariners lost that entire 10-game lead. Well, this year, the Mariners got swept at home on Mother's Day by the Toronto Blue Jays. Is this a little bit of opposite day sort of stuff going on, where now the Mariners go on some massive run to get to 10 games up?
I thought you were going a completely different direction, which is why I turned around. I thought you were going to bring up the sweep of the Rangers and how we swept the Rangers this year, and that was the incursion of the downfall of the Mariners. Was sweeping the Rangers at home. Okay.
I'm saying something good.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's like the opposite, right? This year they got swept on Mother's Day.
As opposed to
Last
sweeping
year
on
they
Father.
swept on Father's Day.
My bad. I see. When they swept the Rangers the first time this year.
Yeah, that was the first series after the after the Giant series. No, the Astro series.
Yes, but you had said, remember last year when they swept the Rangers and then everything fell apart? So I thought that's what you were referencing again.
No.
Is that you sweep the Rangers, you build up, you win 9 consecutive series. That was the second one of that one, and then it all comes crashing down at some point. I get where you're going though.
So just think about that. Let really gnaw on that before this Yankees game here on Monday, and then watch it all get crushed by Aaron Judge. So we appreciate you guys watching episode 190 of the Hit It Here podcast. And go Mariners, I guess, and not Aaron Judge.